live. Woo. From your ESG salad spinner, it's a Business Pants Friday show here at 19th Lane Studios.
It's lonely.
Featuring all of your favorites, and that's Matt Moscardi, the lord of board sabermetrics.
We usually have Ari and Jesse with us. They are no longer with us.
They're off doing like loving things.
I was going to say we fired them just for dramatic effect, but we didn't.
That'd be kind of cool.
Would it?
It'd kind of be fun to fire half of our enterprise. On today's weekly wrap-up, Disney does a thing, Target says a thing, Exxon ignores a thing, and Montana is triggered by everything. Yay!
They always are.
But Montana used to be like tough freedom fighters. What happened to Montana? They're just triggered.
Now they're freedom-fighting GHG emissions existence.
They just react to everything in pop culture.
Anything that makes them unhappy.
Yeah.
It's really. In fact, Donald Trump Jr. just yesterday announced he's launching a magazine.
Yeah.
Where it's going to be a not woke men's magazine.
What does that mean?
Where it's going to feature killing. No, he said featured killing thing, like hunting, fishing, and like, I don't know, cars.
Don't they already have those magazines?
Like which one? Explain when Guns and Ammo got woke. Did that ever get woke?
But we already had those magazines anyway. I mean,
we've had them for a million years.
Yeah.
Someone pointed out on Twitter that it's funny that the people who only hunt from a car are obsessed with a magazine about manly hunting,
or avoid the military at all costs, unlike their constituents.
It's the manly thing to do now. Mm-hmm. All right, here we go. Let's do story of the week. Ready?
Yep. I got 4 good ones. Story of the week. You're only going to like the last one. Number 1. Disney kills $1 billion development in Florida just days before DeSantis' expected presidential announcement.
I like that one. I do like that.
I mean, we saw this coming, right?
I mean, it was inevitable, but they still have another like $17 billion or something allocated to build in Florida. Like, are they just waiting for him to fail miserably so that they can get building again?
I don't know what's going to happen. I can't predict U.S. politics anymore. We might very well be stuck with the big diaper baby again, Donald Trump. But
good. That's what I want.
As of now, as of May 19th, 2023, Bob Iger is single-handedly responsible for destroying Ron DeSantis' presidential hopes.
I know. Congrats to him.
Single-handedly, yeah.
You know, we used to make fun of, Ken Doll Bob.
Well, in a loving way.
Yeah, but he's definitely proving why he keeps getting brought back over and over and over again.
Well, it does make you wonder. They had teased Bob Iger to run for president. I mean, I don't know who would run for president anymore, but there was that suggestion. I mean, he probably would win.
I mean, he's pretty good at this.
Yeah.
They also did shutter their $5,000 a night Star Wars hotel.
I don't even know what does that even mean?
They opened a hotel that was like $5,000 a night, and it was staying inside like a Star Wars cruiser or something.
Horrible.
I don't know. It was horrible. That
sounds like a hate crime from every direction. Number 2 story of the week. Montana is this like we kind of glossed over this week. We didn't really talk about this. The state of Montana is the first state to ban TikTok over national security concern. I mean, really, what is happening, Matt?
Is the national security concern in Montana?
Who in Montana, no offense to Montana, but who there is capable of anything, really? I mean, there's someone in Montana who's a national security risk. Someone using TikTok TikTok's going to infiltrate their iPhone 11 and start a war.
They're going to steal the big sky from them.
What is happening?
There are 1.1 million people in Montana.
There are that many?
Yeah, I mean, like there are like 1.1 million people in the block I lived in New York City once upon a time. Like this is
bizarre to me.
It is bizarre. But
it's not going to last. They're going to fight this. They're already fighting this. This cannot last, can it?
But why are they not banning Instagram and Facebook and Snap,
Mark Zuckerberg,
and Twitter?
I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, not just because he's Jewish, But Mark Zuckerberg, if George Soros, Larry Fink, Bill Gates, if they're all globalists, how is Mark Zuckerberg not a globalist? How are they not banning Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp?
Well, first of all, it is because he's Jewish.
Okay, I don't want to get into this because it depresses me, but how are they not going after Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp? How?
It's a really good question. I don't know how they don't look at them as effectively the same thing.
He's buying Hawaii. They're not worried about Mark Zuckerberg?
No, he does not seem to be a national security threat. I mean, clearly we're just triggered by, we're like anti-China and pro Elon Musk's red pill. That's what we are.
Yeah, China doesn't bother me. Number 3 big story of the week. Another story we didn't really cover. It seems like big news. Big tech got a big win as the Supreme Court stayed out of the Section 230 fight. So the Supreme Court says that Twitter and Google are not legally liable for terrorists using their platforms. Ostensibly, they're not liable for anyone using their platform.
Yeah,
anything that disseminates.
Why even? Why even? So we've just said we're never going to regulate them.
But
do whatever they want.
According to the reporting here, the Supreme Court technically didn't weigh in on Section 230. They just ignored it. So maybe they're punting it. Is that what they're doing? Are they punting this down the road?
No, it doesn't. Whatever decision got made at the lower court is the one that stands, and the lower court said it's fine.
But somebody else could bring a 230 action that the Supreme Court could pick up. I don't know.
I mean, but let's be real here. The Supreme Court, by not doing this, saying Twitter and Google aren't liable, are saying that Elon Musk, Sergey Brin, and Larry Page are not liable for terrorists.
And Mark Zuckerberg. Yeah.
They're not saying
and TikTok,
Twitter the company or Google the company.
Yeah.
These are all held by white billionaires.
Matt, I don't want to get too deep into this. I want to get home by 6 o'clock. How could a company not be liable for the information they're disseminating on their platform? How's that possible?
I don't know, but when we launch our platform, I'm now going to say we're not liable.
Never mind. Moving on. And the 4th big story of the week, just because I wanted to, because I just love the headline. Lab monkey prices soar in U.S. after China cuts off exports.
Whoa!
I just wanted to be a person who covers things like this. Lab monkey prices. I like this.
How many lab monkeys get bought a year?
I don't know. I'm afraid to know, actually.
This is actually very disconcerting, although we do know a lot about the lab monkeys at Neuralink, lest we forget that they abused the lab monkeys at Neuralink and were found to have committed animal abuse. Another Elon Musk joint.
Well, and they impregnate their fellow executives, which doesn't seem kosher either.
Ooh, yeah.
All right. Those are the 4 big stories of the week. You are our only vote. I like this system.
I think we have to both vote in order to make it fair and equitable.
What's the tiebreaker?
Because we believe in democracy. I think the real winner, much as I want to go with lab monkey prices soar,
only in the U.S. Yeah.
I think the real winner here is the ban on TikTok.
Tell me why.
Because what Montana has done, and they did this at the same time they did something that's going to end up in exhausting us, which is banning GHG emissions as a criteria for anything. They are really planting their flag in the TikTok wars, the China wars, the anti-woke wars.
Or the Disney wars, too, right?
And there's literally a decade worth of litigation that's going to come out of this.
Yeah.
If they can ban TikTok over national security concerns without necessarily proving the national security concerns, because they haven't been able to prove definitively that China is monitoring everybody or even nudging people, although we all think it's true. If they can ban it without proving that, what can't they ban?
Well, essentially...
They just picked one company and banned it.
Essentially, it's the same argument that DeSantis uses in Florida, that the things that he's banning, like don't say gay in schools, is because he thinks it erodes the fabric of America. It's not really a different argument, right?
But worse...
But I'm just saying, we're just opening the floodgates to ban any publicly traded company just because you're triggered. Yeah.
That's what we're at. We can, and it's not, he didn't say we're banning, because if he worded it in such a way that it was national security concerns, we're going to ban all social media platforms that contravene them, then you would have to ban other platforms too, hold them to the same standard. They're
Well,
banning TikTok.
Anything related to China would be your first move, no? And then anything related to tech.
Okay, you know where the vast majority of Teslas get built? In
Hey,
China.
don't ask me.
iPhones, China, Foxconn.
But they're all moving to Vietnam and India, so.
But my point is, like, if we're going to do where the things originate from, they originate from China. That's what we do here.
Oh,
So I think that's the story of the week.
I'm just going to agree with you because we don't have a tiebreaker in place. And also because I think the Disney versus DeSantis thing is really the same story. So
I think that's right. Yeah.
I'm going to agree with you. There you go. Montana, again, a state in our union is banning
one company.
Is banning a company.
A company. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
I really hope they all ban Free Float at some point. That would really be
Free
a win
Float
for us.
LLC or Free Float Media?
Free Float Media. This way,
Okay.
LLC continues to operate under the radar.
Okay.
All right.
Good
Are
list
you
of the
going to
week.
do good list?
Yeah, I'll do this quickly. Good list of the week.
All right.
You can do exhausting us. Good list of the week.
Good. I'll stay in my lane.
I tried to channel Ari here. I really didn't try to channel Ari. Here we go. Miller Lite defends its marketing chief over a satirical ad criticizing, misogyny.
Yeah.
And
They defended them?
I just picked this because I want to say the quote again. I said it in yesterday's show.
That's true.
This is what Molson Coors said. They said, people can take issues with our ads or our brands, but we won't stand by as people personally attack our employees, especially given that these are company decisions and are never made by one single person.
Woo!
Number two.
A quote. What a quote. Now, just sit on that for a minute. These are company decisions and are never made by a single person. I like that. Go.
Number two, Target CEO DEI has fueled much of our growth over the last 9 years. CEO Brian Cornell says, doing what's right for employees and the company culture adds value for shareholders.
Oh, Vivek.
What a thought.
Oh, this is so sad
What
for
a
you.
thought.
A major CEO said that it adds value for shareholders. And
So-
he said it over a specific time period, the last 9 years.
Last 9 years. What's the
it
over
feels
under?
very specific.
What's the over under on a tersely, angry letter coming from Strive Asset Management at Target? What's
Ooh,
the 2
that
weeks?
that needs to be in your predictions for this week.
Number three, this felt very Ari to me. The headline is, get ready for a Starbucks ice overhaul. New Nugget ice is coming to stors.
This is I could care less about. You just
No, I
literally
can see her
leaning
being
deep
excited
into
by this for some reason. Number four, Goodliest story of the week. The state of Georgia's carbon emissions fell. Per capita emissions fell roughly 8% between 2017 and 2021.
That one seems like just pretty good, except that I hate Georgia. Why are we?
Well,
isn't Georgia like one of the places that's anti-woke right now?
Well, I don't know. Georgia's a bit of a mystery these days. They voted for Biden. They have a black and a Jewish senator. They're like on the verge of wokeism over there.
It seems like just Atlanta.
Okay, well,
That
sorry.
seems like.
What can I do about it? Sorry that cities have a lot of people living in them.
Yeah. Oh God, a winner for this. It's I don't care about this at all, but it's hard not to want to vote for an ice overhaul with Nugget ice because
I like that it said the rollout of its ice nuggets would take several years.
it's like a 2050 target.
Yeah, well, I don't know what that's all about.
We're gonna go net zero
Several
and
years.
have ice pellets by 2050.
You realize we're talking about replacing a single machine.
you know, even worse is we figured out ice 10,000 years ago.
That's true.
Something we figured out.
Yeah, we didn't even have to figure it out. It was just
right.
there when you woke
It was
up.
just kind of around.
Yeah.
I think it's, I don't trust the Miller Lite defending its marketing chief,
Oh.
except in as much as I like the quote.
Quote's good.
But it's like in the Bud Light thing, people attacked Dylan Mulvaney and the Bud Light people.
Yeah.
And in this one, they're only attacking Miller Lite. Like, what about the actress in the new commercial? Why didn't they attack that actress? They're not trans. That's why.
Well, the woman responsible for the ad campaign, she had to take down all of her social media because she was being threatened and harassed. So that, that's why company.
Fun.
That's why the company. See, what Anheuser-Busch did was they fired that person, whereas Molson Coors actually supported her.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah, that's the difference.
But I'm still gonna go with. DEI has fueled much of our growth over the last 9 years. I mean, it is really hard to understate.
Yeah, I almost included
9 years.
I almost included this in story of the week, but I wanted Ari to have something good. So I definitely agree that we're going to be using that one for a while. So that's your goodliest of the week.
Much of our growth over the last 9 years. All right,
come on, let's do it.
This is the fastest
we've ever gone on this
show.
You were spending a lot of time this morning with Bard, Google's Bard AI chatbot. What if we converted at least either Jesse or Ari into a chatbot for our show? Maybe that would be.
Actually, I have the chatbot up still. Maybe I can ask it what the story of the week was at the end.
Okay, let's do it.
We'll figure that out.
Okay.
All right. Assholiest of the week. First asshole of the week is Exxon, because they need an attitude adjustment. Nothing's going to get done with this attitude. The headline is Exxon says reaching net zero global emissions by 2050, highly unlikely. And here's the quote. They're pushing back on a Glass Lewis support of a proposal that all Exxon had to do was produce a report that shows effectively, how they transition by 2050. For a net zero world, because that's what we need to achieve. Glass Lewis is supporting that proposal, and Exxon's against it, saying this is the Exxon board that was put in place by engine number one to be environmentally friendly.
Partly, let's be fair.
Yeah, partly. But their influence is so high, clearly, that this is what they said, quote, "It is highly unlikely that society would accept the degradation in global standard of living required to permanently achieve a scenario like net zero."
What do they like footnote something? Do they cite something? Like, why do they deem it highly unlikely? Do we know why?
I don't have access to whether or not they footnoted it. My guess is they footnoted it with a picture of a guy driving a Hummer in Montana.
I mean, this is true audacity, because this is the company that it is now a known thing that knew about climate change and sat on that information for decades.
Yeah, they knew. Yeah.
Right, so I'm just saying.
And now they're saying it's highly unlikely that anybody would accept this, where 20 years ago they obstructed it such that it would be highly unlikely today that anyone would accept it. So true assholery today.
Yeah, hard to disagree with that one.
Number two, and I thought about inserting this into Goodliest.
Yep.
But it's not really Goodliest. It's also not Exhaustingest, so I put it here just so I could say it. Here's the headline. Worker misinterpreted colleague's XX on a dock as kisses. Tribunal hears.
What?
Here's the story.
Yeah.
There's a worker at some company in the UK.
It's always the UK for some reason. Yeah.
Always the UK. This was not a bald man, though.
Mm-hmm. This is tangential.
It's a woman who was getting emails from her boss, and it would have like a bunch of stuff, and it would say like year XX and something YY, right? Like meaning fill in the number here. Mm-hmm. She read it and thought those X's were kisses.
Wait, so is that verbatim? It really is year XX?
I'm not kidding. That's verbatim.
So she thought he was saying year kisses?
Year kisses, and then he would sign the files, like after he reviewed the file and sent it back to her, he would put like underscore AJG, which is his initials. Mm-hmm. She thought AJG stood for a jumbo genital.
Matt, is this an Onion article?
This is totally real.
Okay.
Sued him, saying she was harassed, saying she felt uncomfortable, saying that like it was a hostile work environment, and lost the lawsuit when the judge said, "I think we're reading into things. This is very clearly contextually not that."
See, I hate to mock this, because most of these lawsuits are probably absolutely valid.
That's why it's asshole to me. Yeah. That's exactly right. Yeah,
because she's almost like subverting the process. It's almost like a goof or something.
Well, I mean, has AJG ever been used as a jumbo genital?
I mean, even XX, like, it's not actual kisses. Isn't it just like I mean, not that your boss should be using those terms of endearment, but it's not like, well, I don't know. I don't want to weigh into XX.
No,
but she's clearly an idiot because she should have known that the X's, like, algebraically were right. They're standing for something. They're representing a number.
It was like in the middle of the sentence that would be like, in the year XX, so and so did so and so.
Really,
she was like, "Why are you writing kisses in the middle of these documents?"
So really, the person at fault is her boss because he hired an idiot.
Oh,
okay. See what I did
where
there?
You went with that there.
All right. What's next?
Next up is Charles Johnson.
Who's that?
Charles Johnson is the billionaire we talked about on the show yesterday in Nantucket.
Yeah.
If you didn't listen to yesterday's show, Charles Johnson was the CEO for like 60 years at Franklin Investments, Franklin Templeton now.
Yeah.
And Chucky, owns some property in Nantucket and is very unhappy about a clam shack that wants to open in a commercially zoned area,
of course, close
to the property he owns.
And I wonder, like, billionaires have very big properties. I wonder how really close it is to his, like, where he sleeps at night.
I mean, it's on two different wharfs. Mm-hmm. So there's a north wharf and a south wharf. So I actually mapped this out because I was like, will you smell the clams? Is that the problem? Like, what is the problem here?
Yeah, it's a good thing in the summer.
And it appears the answer is no, you will not smell the clams because they're like up the street.
But did you check the Gulf Stream? The winds, it's not a straight line.
I did not look. And with climate change coming, it may change the clam vectors.
And maybe he's a flat earther too, and he has a different trajectory of the winds, and it's very complicated.
It does. The math I did not check all the math, but Charles Johnson's attorney, Danielle D. Benedictus, had this to say in March when she flew up to fight the clam shack, who's just looking to open a clam shack.
Are there courts in Nantucket? Like, where do you fly to?
To the Nantucket zoning board.
Okay, got it.
She flew to like a zoning board meeting.
Sure, took probably like a private jet. Yeah.
She said, quote, "We flew here from Florida in spite of the storm to make our utmost opposition known to you on a personal level."
Oh my God. Yeah.
That is what there's like one guy named like John who his dream was to open a clam shack. That was it.
How about that poor pilot? It's like, we're really doing this? There's a storm.
So
and you're fighting a clam shack.
Charles Johnson, you got handed your firm when you were 24 years old by your father that you were the CEO of for another 50 years. You then handed that same firm to your son to run.
I don't know if you have this information, but where was he born? Maybe he's not from New England.
I think he's from New England, actually.
So then they should just throw this case out.
This is like deep Nepo baby entitlement.
Throw it
so
out.
Get out,
That sounds
Charles
very
Johnson.
asshole. Anything else?
Finally, there's this question.
Uh-oh.
So the I think it was 16 GOP treasurers and investment officers signed a letter to Larry Fink, our favorite Sorosy shadowy figure now.
Only to Larry Fink?
Only to Larry Fink.
Okay, because he's the only person, I guess, involved with ESG investing. Yep.
They signed a letter asking for, given all, this is following the hearing that happened on ESG, which was, that's correct. If you listen to the hearing, it was a whole nothing burger. And it said, we want more information about how you're, what you're doing and how you're voting your proxies. It was 50 plus questions that they asked Larry about how he votes his proxies. Now, two things occurred to me. Number one, how did you never ask this before? You have billions of dollars with that guy.
Yeah.
You had no questions about how they vote their proxies ever?
Not to mention, as someone who's worked in this industry and actually still does, it's hard to believe, but I still kind of do. But it's all on their websites, everywhere. There's tons of them. There's a lot of guidelines. There's for many of their funds. There's
40% of the questions.
Tons of information publicly available.
I could Google the answers to 40% of the questions easily, right?
And in fact,
this question,
the UMass student who Larry Fink is asking to answer those questions is just going to go to the website to answer the question.
That's right. Yeah. Uh-huh. That was a tough ask for that intern.
Yeah.
But this question stood out to me, and I have never seen a more patently assholey stupid question.
Okay.
Quote, at what rate did your firm vote in favor of proposals submitted by the National Center for Public Policy Research in 2022 and 23 through the date of this letter?
But why is that even pertinent to anything? I don't like what a state treasurer is supposed to represent the entire constituency. How's that even like how is that even a normal question anyway? I mean, what is going on? Seriously.
We are now asking whether you supported
why
not ask how many proposals from John Chevedden did you support over the last 5 years?
Right.
What they're trying to establish is that
I know what they're trying to
anti-conservative, right?
Uh-huh.
Because the National Center for Public Policy Research, as we pointed out, is one of the firms that writes things like you discriminate against white people, right? And that's their reasoning.
And it's also one of the firms that ended up, the Wall Street Journal had an op-ed about this, and it's actually one of the firms that ended up on the top 50 most leftist ESG proposals.
Yeah, they're leftist
because they
radical
didn't do
agenda.
their research very well. Yeah,
that's correct. Yep, that's true. So that's what I got for you.
Oh.
I got Exxon. A jumbo genital, Charles Johnson, the billionaire, and this question.
I'll say Exxon go. I'll just slot into the exhaustingest category. The worker misrepresenting the boss. I don't feel full asshole there. I just feel amusement.
Yeah, I know. I just really wanted to talk about that
though.
story. Yeah,
I was initially it was a easy pick for Charles Johnson, this fighting a clam shack, but then you kind of. The performative nature of this anti-ESG world, but maybe again that's just exhausting me at this point. So I will go with the idiot who's fighting a clam shack on a quaint island in New England. I mean, what are we doing here? This guy better not have been born in New England because it's like self-hate.
I will also go Charles Johnson. Okay. That is a more pure asshole play today. We'll keep it real.
Matt, we have some breaking news. Do you have a?
Ooh, we have breaking news?
Yeah,
yeah, I do. I have breaking news. Sure, we'll go with.
Come on.
How about?
Let's do it. Okay, fine. I asked Bard, what's the top business story of the week, right? And they actually disagree with us, Matt. It's luckily it's one of our 4 top stories. And again, I'm not making this up. I just asked it. What's the top business story of the week? It says. The top business story of the week is that Disney has scrapped plans for a new $900 million.
Wow!
So they are playing our game at least. They're listening to the show.
Bard,
they have the right to make that vote. It's fine with me. It's fine.
Bard got outvoted. We should ask them who the bigger asshole was this week. Exxon, a worker.
I'll do that. I will say that the other 3 business stories they picked are. Boring and really not good top stories.
I'm sure it was the debt ceiling.
One was Kia and Hyundai to pay $200 million to settle suit over car thefts. I don't know about that one.
Oh, no. That's definitely not the top business story of the week.
What else do we have?
Mind. All right, I'm going to wrap us out. I'm going to stay in my lane.
Yeah.
Exhaustingest of the week.
I'm already hating this. Okay.
Well, fortunately, and Jesse actually sent us some
from a
exhaustingest
jet, from a plane.
From a jet on the way to Norway.
What a weird person Jesse is.
What a dedication.
Yeah.
I'm going to give her a raise of $1 extra.
All right, I like
when
it.
she gets back.
I like it.
She also picked billionaire Charles Johnson.
Okay.
So easy. You thought like you and I think that's asshole. So we easy disqualification here. Mm-hmm. I'm not exhausted by that. Her point was billionaires with too much time and money on their hands was exhausting.
Yeah, it's hard to disagree with that. Yeah. What else did she have?
She's not wrong.
Yeah.
Another one she chose was a Florida teacher says the state is investigating her for showing students the Disney movie Strange World, which features an LGBTQ character.
I don't know if this is exhausting or just like dystopically depressing. Because not only that, but the city of Tampa has canceled its Pride Parade because annually 20,000 people show up to this parade, and there's always a drag show in it. And according, DeSantis' new rules, you can't have a drag show in public. And at the same time, Ted Cruz is investigating Anheuser-Busch because of the Dylan Mulvaney Bud Light can, because he thinks it's targeted to minors. It's just all a bunch of absolute nonsense going on. So
really, we are way off the deep end.
Wasn't
it the left that was like the cultural
boycott
identity
lettuce
politics?
Boycott lettuce.
Like what? I thought the left's lane was identity politics.
Yeah.
This is so far off the other end. I had no idea.
Say that, Matt, but the left's lane identity politics, but really it was about equal rights. It wasn't about being triggered by things. It was just having the same rights afforded to all citizens.
Let's be honest with ourselves, which is
I don't want to be.
The left was very triggered by lots of stuff for a long time. But
still, it was to get let's
cancel
say gay
culture
marriage,
is a left
right?
Thing.
It's the same.
Cancel culture was on the left.
All right, I'm gonna. I'll ask Doug Chaw. Yeah, go ahead.
But so this is now we're full on banning books, banning movies, banning gays everywhere that we can possibly ban them. And then the last one she has here is anti-climate Montana.
Oh,
and she said this.
You talked about this earlier this week, yeah.
We did. Montana Republican lawyers have passed legislation barring state agencies from considering climate change when permitting large projects that require environmental reviews.
Bizarre. It's the same story, though, yeah.
It's the same story. They did only insert one line. Everything in their permitting process is exactly the same as it was 3 weeks ago, except for this one line, which is they no longer can consider GHG emissions as part of the permitting. Everything else is exactly the same. So if you are a scientist who's doing the environmental review, they want you to look at the ecological impacts and the environmental impacts and the biodiversity impacts and the human impacts, but you cannot consider pollution, GHG emissions.
So essentially you can't do your job, right?
How does one do that? You can't. And then they say you didn't do your job if you didn't do the ecological impacts, but you cannot use the thing that causes ecological impacts to do the job.
That's like asking an investor, okay, you're about to invest in a company, but you're not allowed to look at the founder and CEO. You're not allowed to sort of have an opinion on that or think about who they are.
You need to invest in a company, but you are not allowed to look at any financial statements.
Yeah.
Forget the data
or the corporate governance structure. All right, well,
so that's what you got. You've got a Florida teacher being investigated. You got billionaire Charles Johnson again.
It's a layup for me.
Anti-climate Montana. Yeah.
It's a layup for me.
Yeah, what's your answer?
I don't know why, but the Florida LGBT thing, I'm straight anger for me. That's just anger. We already did the billionaire suing a clam shack. To me, it's definitely anti-climate Montana. I think that's just exhausting horse shit. Really Montana really embarrassing itself this week.
Yeah.
As being a bunch of idiots.
You should really like the environment.
Yeah, and
the only reason why people go there is the environment.
Yeah, and if you're going to ban TikTok, you might as well just ban everything. You might as well just ban anything that you can turn on or off, including a light switch. Right? Why stop there?
I'm going to go with Florida.
Oh, so how do we break this tie? How do we break this tie?
So breaking the split vote, we need to ask Google Bard whether a Florida teacher being investigated or Montana banning GHG emissions and permitting is more exhausting to it.
All right, why don't you type that in there, and I'm going to start with the who won the week, because mine's a long one.
All right, I'll type these in.
In fact, I have answers for Ari and Jesse, so I'll do all those. I'm going to slow roll this so that you have time to enter into your Bard AI thing. My winner of the week, although I'm not getting any transition music, so this feels a little bit empty.
Yeah, you're fine. Just roll with it.
My winner of the week, idiot billionaires who invested in a college dropout. So, yesterday, a few days ago, they ordered Elizabeth Holmes not only to go to jail, but that she must pay $452 million in restitution. And Matt, The number one recipient of this money, although it's debatable whether this money will ever get paid, is Rupert Murdoch, $125 million.
Yeah.
Some of the other idiots include Oracle co-founder Larry Ellison, former Secretary of State Henry Kissinger, and Supreme Idiot Betsy DeVos. Whatever. And not only that, but Walgreens is getting $40 million. The same company that is paying out more money for helping to fuel the opioid crisis is getting money from Elizabeth Holmes.
You want to know what feels worse about Walgreens? Because the others are individual idiots that we don't want to see have the money. But Walgreens feels like, the corporation that got duped by... First of all, Walgreens, a corporation... was using the devices that they did no due diligence on. It's very clearly...
They could have run their own tests. They could have used the machine and then...
They could have said...
And then taken that same blood to the blood lab and been like, are these results matching?
It would have taken them 90 seconds. Not only that, but they were willing to not look at any data and just take Elizabeth Holmes' word on it.
And they probably have a discount at that blood lab, right? They must have a frequent flyer discount card.
And number two, who is Walgreens? That's all we do here.
Well, it's what's his name? It's
Stefano Pacina.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's one white guy. It's it's basically another Rupert Murdoch.
Controls the majority of the board influence, according to our data, board sabermetrics. Ari, the winner of the week, she says herself because she's on vacation away from us. Oh. Jessie says the winner of the week is also herself because she gets to marry Rob. I don't know what that means.
Oh, wow. Wait. The audience seems to like that, but I think they're cheering ironically.
I mean, Jesse, technically, we all get to marry Rob. I mean, right? You're the one who decided to. But we all could have. Maybe not in Florida anymore soon, but we all could have.
No, definitely not.
Do you have a winner?
I have a winner.
Yeah.
It was Clam Shacks.
Oh, why?
Because never have Clam Shacks been so in the news as they are right now. Like,
okay. Well, you don't live in Maine because that's all people talk about.
All I want is something from a clam shack.
Yeah,
that's all I want.
Actually have a taste for it too now.
I do have an answer here from Bard on splitting the exhaustingest of the week. Bard says it is difficult to say which situation is more exhausting. Mm-hmm. Offers some thoughts that include Florida is exhausting because they're investigating her for doing her job. She's being accused of indoctrination. This is a violation of her First Amendment rights. And it's stressful for her. That's what Bard says. And Montana is exhausting for people who are concerned about climate change. It means the state isn't taking into account environmental impacts of projects, which could have an impact on the climate. That's frustrating. Ultimately, it's up to the individual to decide which is more exasting. So Bard punted.
Oh, so we'll just call it a tie. No winner this week.
No winner this week. Predictions.
Before we get to predictions, I do have some other breaking news, and that is that Charles Johnson, not born in New England, born in New Jersey.
Oh no, that counts. I'm sorry.
No, I don't agree.
You cannot say the middle Atlantic states are not like New England adjacent. They have clam shacks.
Get out of Nantucket, Charles. We don't want you. Predictions. My
prediction.
Go to
the Jersey Shore.
My prediction. A beer company, let's just say Heineken, mostly because I hate Heineken, inadvertently enters the woke wars by running a spoof ad mocking Bud Light and Miller Lite featuring a black trans woman in a wheelchair.
Wow.
So they're trying to poke fun at the left and the right, but then everybody hates them. Everyone hates Heineken now.
And then no one drinks Heineken, which wasn't that good to begin with. I have a prediction that Montana bans board sabermetrics.
I could see why.
I mean,
because we're trying to say things.
We have data about every director, and we can tell you which Montanan board of director people are not good at their job according to numbers. That would be really disconcerting.
But I'm hearing from inside sources here at our company that even people within our ESG industry are upset at our data. They think some of them don't like it because I think they're threatened. Frankly,
it turns out that when you do anything new, even to people you think would love it, they don't necessarily love it.
In fact, they disagree with our assessments, our data, our methodologies, despite the fact that they don't have any on their own. They just think it's wrong.
Yeah,
because they have a hunch.
It feels wrong.
It feels wrong. So even within our industry, we're getting no support for trying a thing.
Yeah, so somebody support us.
I gotta say, this is not everybody. This is just a handful of people. Just a handful.
It's actually very, very few. We're getting a lot of love from a lot of places.
Still. Any other predictions? Oh, I have.
Yeah. Who else?
Jesse says that she and Rob are gonna have 12 children. Oh. That's gonna put a burden on our mat leave, isn't it?
There's no end to the amount of screaming.
Maybe they can have sextuplets twice, so that she can only take 2 mat leaves.
I don't even want. Yeah, just get it done as efficiently as possible.
I don't think we can afford 12 mat leaves. I'm just putting it out there. And then Ari says that our platform 1.0, that's our board sabermetrics platform, will be launched before her next trip to Oregon.
Oh,
that's good news, right?
That's hurtful,
but that's good. It's hopeful.
That's all we got.
That's a lot.
That's the week in review. I am Lord of BS. That's Damian Rollis. Ari and Jesse could not be here because they're busy frolicking.
Didn't want to be here.
They didn't want to be here. Actually, we have a lot of moves coming up in June, so get your fill now because there are going to be a lot of gaps. Come back next week when we catch up over the weekend on Monday. Until then, goodbye.